Since taking over from West Ham back in November, do you West Ham fans know that today has marked the 9th game that we have conceded 3 or more goals? So I'm just going to quickly give you a rundown of some of the teams. Everton, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Brighton, Swansea, Burnley, Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City. What terrible, terrible, terrible stats. Something else to give you some statistics on is West Ham have now conceded the most Premier League goals this season, 67 goals. A problem that we have had over the past couple of seasons, but to make things worse for the season that is never ending, causing us problem after problem. Those statistics don't read that nice. Anyway, we are back with Irons United's match review, highlights in our words. We have just witnessed a terrible performance and a terrible defeat to the champions, albeit to the champions, Manchester City. West Ham 1, Manchester City 4. I'm joined by Stell and Luke. Stell, let's just get straight into it. Team selection from David Moyes.
Well, I put up predictions because I saw snippets on social media that there were going to be 3 changes, and I got quite excited. And I actually thought I put up a prediction of a team which included Masuaku, Lanzini, and Hernandez. The 3 changes: Adrian, which was an obvious one, Lanzini, and Hernandez. What I didn't realise was that the 3 changes was going to admit just about every bit of attacking force we had. He not only started off yet again with Arnie up front on his own, he even dropped another attacking force, which was Masuaku. I was shocked. You know, I've been saying this now probably since the Stoke game. Every home game we have, we should be going for it. There's nothing to lose, and all Moyes does is he picks a defensive. You know, he thinks defensively first, which isn't a problem in itself. But as you pointed out with the stats, you know, he could have 9 defenders on there and 2 goalkeepers, and we'd still be leaking goals like there's no tomorrow. Yeah. It's shocking. I mean, you know, we had nothing to lose today. In terms of trying to go for it, and it was a poor team setup.
It just seems to be a familiar pattern when it comes to West Ham that we go into every single week and we're trying to predict the West Ham side. We all come up with this great plan because we have these top quality players with great statistics that are sitting on the bench, and we think surely this week, Mr. David Moyes is going to give these players a chance, or he's going to sit up against the side, or he's going to learn from other teams that are in and around West Ham, i.e. Swansea, who set up defensively against Manchester City last week and conceded 5 goals. Look, when you think about how West Ham approached this game, and a little bit on the back of what Stell said, what's your thoughts on the team selection and the way that David Moyes set up and going into this game?
Yeah, I think you could kind of tell how we were going to set up when Masuaku was dropped, because, you know, he might be a left wing back, but we all know out of all the wingers, he'll be the one that will drive forward, try and take players on and make something happen. Yes, he's not the best crosser in the world. Yes, he doesn't deploy himself in the best of manners, but we need someone to try and just go through a few players, just try and make a spark happen. It does a few step overs, yeah, not much else, but sometimes you just need that just to spark a bit of life into the team. And it was a static team from start to finish, and Arnautovic was always going to be the one doing the work up front on his own, as usual. Lanzini was going to be, you know, probably the guy to assist him if anyone was going to do it throughout the game. But genuinely, I think every man and his dog could tell that our game plan from the start of that game was going to be to literally try and concede as least goals as possible. So for me, if I'm looking at David Moyes, I'm thinking goal difference, not points. This ain't about points, this is about goal difference. Because if I can get out of this with a 1 or 2-0 loss, then it ain't 4 or 5, is it? That's the only way I can think that he's gone in with a team like that. The only way.
We've gone into this game, I suppose, as West Ham fans with, you know, some of us are optimistic. Some of us are, I don't know. What my point trying to be is, it's really tough right now. It's really tough because the concerning fact is that David Moyes should look at teams around us and how they set up around Manchester City. We are coming to the results end, where we are in the results end of the season. Results aren't going right around us, and he sets up the way he does with the players that he does, it's a negative start straight away. You've got to look at that bench, and you've got to think of some of those players. What are they thinking? What's their mindset when they come back on? What's a player like Hernandez got to do to start? I don't care if people are bringing him up, but it's true. It is absolutely true. And still, you picked up on it. Arnautovic is up top. He's isolated again. And I don't know if you clocked at Arnautovic at several points during the game today. He was shrugging his shoulders and getting really pissed off.
He was frustrated.
And he was...
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to go back a few years, and I know a lot of fans sounded this player out because he left the club, but Payet was getting to the point where he was frustrated for whatever other reasons that were surrounding him leaving West Ham. One thing he seemed to be sure of was West Ham weren't going forward, and I don't know how long it's going to be before Arnie turns around and goes, "Well, what the fuck am I doing here?" You know, and I can see it going the same way. He's got a love for West Ham at the moment, but if he has to put up with this shit again for another season, you're going to see Arnie going, "Why am I here?" Yeah. You know, what club? We're not a Liverpool, a Man U, a City who have got great players sitting on the bench because there are great players, the great 11 players out on the pitch. We've got players who could actually make a difference that are sitting on the bench, like you've just picked up, wondering, what the fuck have I got to do to actually start? Hernandez, you know, one of the best strikers the Premier League has ever seen, is sitting on the bench because he can't get a start. You know, and you look at the team the way we're set up and you go, what other club, you know, who's got someone like Hernandez would have the guy on the bench? You know, it just doesn't make sense. We don't have a luxury of 15, 16 top class players. We've got probably about 8 or 9 good players, of which a couple are sitting on the bench. No other club will do that, especially in our predicament. It just doesn't make sense.
Do you think Moyes, and this one's to you, Luke, do you think Moyes has gone into this game thinking, let's try and save the goal difference a little bit, but with his style of play, with his formation and tactics he comes up with, surely by doing what he did today was completely wrong? I.e., what I mean by that is bringing someone like Chicharito on, not leaving Hernandez, Arnautovic isolated, dropping Masuaku and bringing Everett in, who's 36, putting him on the wing alongside Zabaleta on the other side.
I know where you're going with this.
With the pace that Manchester City have, it's a no-brainer. For me, it's an absolute no-brainer. And it's easy for us to sit here and make the judgment on West Ham and management, and then we're sitting in here doing our day jobs, not getting paid the big bucks of what they're doing. But for me, it's not rocket science. And what concerns me is it's a lot of ex-players are starting to say it. A lot of the commentators are starting to say it. The fans are saying it. What is David Moyes' mindset going into today's game?
But with me personally, and I've sort of clocked this over the last few games, is that he seems to be doing the bare minimum. He will not risk at all any kind of, attacking play, any kind of ounce of like, oh, okay, if we put 2 players up and apply pressure to the centre-backs, that leaves our centre-backs exposed to a fault. Just little things like that. So he's not going to risk it at all. Just on the front of players starting, with all due respect to how good Hernandez is, he can start 10 games. It's the setup he's got around him. So if he comes on, if he starts the game, but he's devoid of service, if he's left out frustrated, if he's left out isolated, which would like an Arnautovic is, he might as well be on the bench, because we don't play a game to allow him to get his full ability, use his full ability. So, you know, he come on today, and within about a minute, he had to go onto the wing to get the ball to help out Zabaleta. And that's been the story of his life at West Ham, is that very, very few times has he ever been found in the box where he should be, one-on-ones, taking on the defenders to have a shot, and 9 times out of 10 he scored a goal. But we still think that he can do the target man role and play like that. So today, you could tell, especially in the first half, where the players are just backing off. There's no one making a tackle. There's no one closing down. There's no man going for the second ball. City literally just picking pockets of where to go, where to play, where to move about. And all we're doing is sitting back. All we've got no one at any point with that team selection, with that formation. There's no Masuaku on the left to go up forward. There's no Zabaleta on the right wing going to make a run down the line. It's all literally just the centre backs waiting for pressure, and he's purely set up literally to go, I want to concede as less goals as you like. And if you don't do that, if you want to really give Man City a bit of a game, I'm sorry to say it, but you put someone like Carroll on. You give the defenders something to worry about.
Yeah,
you give them, you pump it up long balls. And the funny thing is that at some point during that game, I actually think we tried to play it a bit like Man City. We weren't going route one like we probably should have been doing. We were trying to play little triangles around in front of our area.
And kept giving it away.
Exactly, because we're not Man City.
Yeah.
And we got to one point, because our movement was so static, our players were tripping up over each other. Chianti was trying to get the ball and tripping over someone or knocking into the midfield. We were totally overrun. We were totally under pressure, and I weren't one bit surprised, to be honest with you. And yes, it is David Moyes' fault.
Did you know that today was International Dance Day? So I tell you something, West Ham didn't fucking know, but the one player that did know was Raheem Sterling. He fucking dominated us from minute one all the way through to end. His twinkle toes approach to the game, he absolutely demonstrated his ability in today's game. I did put him out for one of the men to watch. I think that West Ham probably set up trying to close down players like De Bruyne, and the next minute you see the players like Sané just, I mean, oh my God, what a quality, talented player. And the thing that really scary about these two guys in particular for Man City is when they were signed, they weren't starters for Manchester City. Now they're just dominating Manchester City's team and play. And Raheem Sterling, even though he didn't score, I think he had a part to play in every single one of those goals. And when you put him up against the legs of Patrice Evra and Zabaleta, because Sterling plays that kind of free running role, he just goes everywhere and anywhere because he knows he can attack the guys with the legs. What was your thoughts on Manchester City's performance still? Did we come out, did we let them play like that, or was that just the natural ability?
Yeah, we were set up, I mean, Luke touched on it, we were set up to be defensive, which allowed them to play whatever they wanted to play, whatever game they wanted to play. You know, you've just touched on, you know, our defence couldn't keep up with the likes of Sterling. Neither could our midfield. Our midfield, I mean, I'm sorry to say, are nothing in comparison to the likes of City. No. We didn't match them at all, and they played the game that they wanted to play. I actually don't think they came out of second gear. You know, I think they found it so easy. They found so much space. You don't give a side like Man City time, you know, and you guys have just touched on it earlier. Yeah, if you pressure them, they don't like it. You know, they
like it up them.
Yeah, exactly. You know what they like is what we gave them. We gave them a huge amount of time. That I kept looking at the around the centre of the pitch, and it was like they had about 50 players there.
Yeah.
You know, they just dominated the whole centre of the pitch. They could pick passes. They didn't even have to move the ball fast. You know, we were nowhere near them. We allowed them. They're a very good side. They're very clever players. They're a very good side. You know, but we actually made it even easier for them. Yeah. And you know, that's why it was so upsetting to see the team that Moyes put out. Because had he had Masuaku, as you picked up, Luke, had he had Masuaku on there, at least Masuaku would have made him run. You know, about Hernandez, you know, if Hernandez was on there, you could have put Arnie a little bit out wide, not had Fernandez on there. You would have then had Masuaku, Lanzini, Hernandez and Arnie going at them. Now that would have given them food for thought, you know. Yeah. But I don't mind if we play defensive, so long as we don't let 4 fucking goals in. That's the problem. You know, by all means play defensive, but don't fucking let a shed load of goals in. That's the problem with what Moyes has been doing.
And the funny thing is, Luke, you mentioned Andy Carroll. Whether you slag this guy off or not, this game today was designed for a player like Andy Carroll, because the top quality defenders that are playing at Manchester City, and in actual fact, all the way over Europe and around the world, when you get a player that causes havoc to the level that he does, then these are the sort of games you want to give Andy Carroll running at time. Now, what I have heard and what I have seen on when we were watching the game was they did cut to Andy Carroll and he looked really frustrated, because I think he knows himself, boss, I'll come on and I will cause Otamendi havoc left, right, and centre all over this field. He'll probably get sent off because he'll do something dodgy, sitting on a yellow card. He's already made a second dodgy tackle. Put me on the park, and then and he's sitting there. And now what we've heard is that Andy Carroll and David Moyes have had a bit of a ding dong at the side of the park, and Andy Carroll's fucked off down the tunnel. So these are all kind of some fans have potentially heard this, and this is what we think is going around a bit on social media. But I wouldn't really put it past a player like Andy Carroll. Now, you can relate this to any job. Do you argue with your boss? Do you walk away from the situation? Well, possibly if your boss is fucking shit and is taking your whole fucking team down, and you're about to lose your job and you're about to lose money, then maybe you have to challenge the status quo at your employer, But it's just really
normally you tell your fellow workmates, don't you? You don't go up to the boss and say, unless you've got really big balls, you don't care about your career. You just go, "Hey mate, he's a cunt, isn't he? He's a wanker." Fucking hell.
I mean, let's be honest. We don't really want to talk through the goals. The first couple of goals, we'll just quickly go through them. A couple of silly mistakes. You can't really do anything about the first goal at all. A shot deflected, no one really at fault. Second goal, calamity of mistakes. Unless anyone really wants to bring something up about the Declan Rice, I don't really want to, because I don't want to do him an injustice. But go for it, Luke.
The funny, Declan Rice, people seem to forget that he was right next to Zabaleta at the time. It was like he put the ball in there on himself. There's two players there. Adrian, as much as I love him, Adrian's missed the save as well. So there's like three players involved in that goal. Plus the fact that the crosser wasn't closed down in the first place either. So it's just, let's not blame it on one person unless it is one person's fault. Because then we're just like Moyes and we're just blaming Lanzini for a goal, which we'll get onto, I'm sure. But yeah, I can't blame Rice. But yeah, for me, it wasn't just him, basically.
And you're completely right when you mention things about Adrian. I mean, how confused, what a confusing situation to be in. We've got two potentially top quality, well, sorry, Stell, better not say that. Two previously top quality goalkeepers challenging for the number one spot, that both are just making calamities left, right, and centre. And right now, the confidence is not in our team, but the confidence is certainly not with our goalkeepers. And if Adrian is trying to push for a slot in the Spanish squad and Hart's trying to push a slot for the English squad, they're both not doing themselves any form of justice whatsoever. They're both extremely capable of a calamity right now, and for me personally, it's a place we need to strengthen in the summer. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. I mean, Adrian, I do prefer him to Hart, but he's done himself no favours today, and you just know Hart's coming back in goal again against Leicester, and that'll be the end of Adrian's West Ham career. Yeah, he'll be gone.
And I'd still on that. I do have a lot of respect and really, really like Adrian, and he's taken to the club. But sometimes I think, you don't want to overstay your welcome, especially in the football world. And maybe it is time that Adrian and Hart and maybe in the most ideal world, 10 other players leave our club and we just start afresh. Because for me, you can start picking pockets all over that park.
You can. I mean, I can't really, for the goals, I can't really blame Adrian really. I mean, but he did make a few. I mean, his goal kick was terrible. He came out and he tried to close the player down and he completely missed. And they almost scored another goal. I think that was the first half. He panicked. What the problem with Adrian is sometimes he tries too hard, and because he tries too hard, he fucks up. And I was really hoping that today would have the final nail in Hart's West Ham career coffin. However, it's gone the other way round, and it looks like it's the end of Adrian's West Ham career. But you're right, we need to strengthen. Please God, do not let Hart sign up permanently, because that's a fucking huge error. And we're going to be looking for 2 goalies in the summer. Absolutely. But you're right.
When it comes to Joe Hart signing that contract, to be honest, I watched his interview before the match started, and to be honest, he looked disinterested today. And the biggest thing I've got from this whole process, from West Ham owners owning West Ham in the current setup, today looked like it wasn't just the players or Moyes has lost the players. the players have lost the club, in my opinion. And that's a big, bold statement to make. But do they believe that West Ham can move forward still? You touched on it earlier on with Dimitri Payet. And yeah, he had on and off the field problems, but 100% believe that one of the biggest of those problems was the fact that West Ham weren't pulling through with their promises and signing bigger players. And look what's happening with Dimitri Payet right now, and he's potentially playing in a final of a European Cup. But you think about the quality players of Lanzini. Quickly we'll touch on Creswell's free kick. Top quality free kick. Thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Is it just a fucking?
No, I honestly think it was a great free kick. And to be honest with you, I thought to myself, if Creswell takes it, it's got a chance of going in, but it won't go in because it's Creswell and we're playing shit. And then it did go in, and I was really shocked. And I thought to myself, well, this is the spark we need to actually get going, because that goal was given. Whereas I think, was that before or after Anatovic's goal was chalked off? After, which that's controversial anyway. Not that I haven't seen a replay, but good free kick. Finally, I'm not Creswell's biggest fan, but he has got a bit of a set piece on him. So good goal. To be fair, it was one good thing out of the whole game. To be fair,
on a few of the kind of terrible refereeing decisions today, to be fair, I feel like the referee tried to make it up to Manchester City, because there wasn't a penalty appeal from Manchester City that was blatantly a penalty for them, and he didn't give it. I've never seen a blatant penalty in my life, to be honest. When I can't remember who it was that brought Sterling down, but
O'Connor probably, I think.
and to be fair, O'Connor didn't have his greatest day again in claret and blue, but we won't go there. We won't go there. Still, we won't go there. But let's just move on.
The player that should have been Hammer of the Year, but he wasn't. Sorry, go on.
That's fine. One thing I want to pick up on is the triple substitution that David Moyes made today. I mean, I don't even know what time it was, and to be honest, at that point, I didn't really care what time it was. But it was the level of or the players that he brought on and the players he took on. So I'll throw this one to you, Luke, because I know you had a kind of opinion on this, strong opinion on the whole Lanzini coming off and Mario coming on.
Well, Stell's kind of got this anti-Hart thing going on. I've got an anti-Mario thing going on. Really don't like him. I think he's a waste of space. He's far too lightweight for the league. He's not going to help a team like us. Lanzini, people may not like Lanzini, but he's 10 times the player that guy is. The funny thing is that I think that a 3-1, even though we weren't really in the game, there was kind of this, the fans were going, okay, subs are being made, 3 of them at one time. They're all of the attacking emphasis. Great. Just as they're getting the kit on, just as they're making the World Cup to come on, 4th goal goes in. All momentum from them coming on goes out the window. And I was surprised that he made 3 subs, because I didn't think Moyes would do that. Not praising him, not knocking him down, just surprised he'd done it. I personally think that, I know what he'd done, because people were booing Lanzini coming off, but what he's done is he thought, well, if I put Carroll on for Lanzini, or if I put Carroll on for this player, I've got too many forwards on and not enough in the midfield, because that's the only reason why you put Mario on instead of Carroll for Lanzini. Because I'd have just played route 1 from then. I'd have just booted the ball up, which we did in the end anyway, because we were trying to boot the ball up to Anatovich. Interesting, pointless. Because in the end we didn't even play a style of football that would, be comfortable to any of our players. But yeah, like I said before, just before they got on, game was dead anyway. And they might as well just been sitting on the bench having a cup of cocoa with a towel over them. So, pointless really in the end of it.
Still, I'm not a fan of Mario, but let's just think of the 3 players that came on. What are you thinking if you are Mario and you are Chicharito and you're down 4-1 at the London Stadium? You've seen us concede 67 goals all season. You've seen no fight at the club at all. You don't probably believe in your manager. What are you thinking standing at those sidelines at the Olympic Stadium?
You're thinking there's not much point in me coming on because it's too late. And Mario came on and performed in just that manner. He did fuck all. It was better to have kept Lanzini on, just because Lanzini made a mistake. I mean, for God's sake, to be sounded out for a mistake for 4 goals, when the whole team were playing shit, was just ridiculous of boys.
Well, on that, I'm going to quickly read something that David Moyes has said after the game regarding Lanzini, because there was quite a lot of boos from the crowd, and he has said this decision has been justified because everyone should look at the fourth goal and maybe they'll see why. We play players to keep the ball and defend, and Lanzini had a great chance to keep the ball for the fourth. I had made the decision before the goal went in. What thinking?
What's he talking about?
He doesn't have a clue. He has
What is he talking about? He sounded out last week. He sounded out Rice for the goal against Arsenal. This week he's sounding out Lanzini for a game that was lost well before the fourth goal went in. You know, what's he going on about? You know, we're going to get onto Moyes in a minute, I'm sure, but you know, he's proving himself to be an inept manager. And to sound Lanzini out, I mean, bringing on Hernandez, okay. Bringing on Masuaku should have started the game anyway. But then, if he'd brought those two players on and kept Lanzini on, we could have maybe got a goal back, you know, to soften the goal difference blow. But Mario came on, and there was one pass to him where he got the ball just outside the 18-yard box.
Yeah.
All he had to do was control it and smack it in. And he did, and he's a £35 million player. Couldn't even control the ball. You know, I don't understand Moyes. You know, when we finished the first half, we were actually, ironically, a little bit on the up. You know, we scored the goal and we had a bit of momentum. And what Moyes should have done then was gone, you know what? Let's fucking go for this, lads. It's 2-1. Let me make a change now. Bring Hernandez on or whoever in order to start the second half on the front foot. But he didn't. He did his usual Moyes bit. He waited and waited into whatever it was, 70th minute, 75 minutes in order to make a change. And then he made all three. It's like, it was odd. It was weird, you know, and the crowd definitely booed the fact that he brought Lanzini off. They weren't booing Lanzini because Lanzini made a mistake. They were booing the fact that Lanzini was brought off. You know?
We said earlier before we came on, and I'll pass over to you, Luke, that when we are West Ham United, who have a top quality midfielder, I do not buy the fact that when Lanzini has a couple of bad games or 10 games over a bad season where all the club is playing awful, that we blame him and we consider selling this guy in the summer. We're fickle West Ham fans if you think that.
Totally.
But you have to consider the fact that Moyes is turning round to this player who's potentially, and in my opinion, probably going to leave our club in the summer. It hurts me and pains me to say it, but I can't see why he would want to stay. I can't see why he'd want to stay. We lack ambition as a football club. The ambition is in the business sense. We have all listened as West Ham fans to the Talk Sport rant that's been going on around, you know, since the game's finished today. And a lot of what I've said is true. We lack the ambition as a football club. We lack the ability to keep these top quality players. We might be changing from a selling club every summer, but what we're not changing from is the potential to be a selling club every 3 summers. And that's where I believe that we will start to falter. And the biggest concern I've got on top of Lanzini potentially going is, if your name's Marko Arnautovic and you're throwing yourself about that park since the 4th or 5th game of the season, understanding you've made big mistakes, you're scoring goals, you're assisting goals, you look at him today, and with 20 minutes to go, he's shrugging his shoulders and he's fed up. He is fed up. You stand in that guard of honour like every West Ham player has done today, and you clap Manchester City because they've won the league, and you're West Ham at the Olympic Stadium conceding 3+ goals in 9 games over the space of since November, and you're a player like Marko Arnautovic's ability, and you know teams are going to come in for you. Why are you going to stay at West Ham? Someone just tell me that. I'm sorry to really put it bluntly, but football, the players do look like they kiss the badge and all that kind of stuff, and I love it when they do it, and it gives me, you know, goosebumps, etc. But at the end of the day, it is football, and these guys want to get the money and win medals. Now, right now, they're not going to win it at West Ham. Look, sorry.
No.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying. Fundamentally, just before we get off of Lanzini's thing, this whole thing about him making a mistake, I don't mind him making a mistake because he was trying to make something happen. He was like one of the only people that was actually trying to make something happen, trying to run up players, trying to create some space. And the problem is, he is a little bit lightweight. So when he gets forced down the shoulder barge, then, you know, he's got nowhere to go, is he? But then what someone should realise is the fact that, you know, there's 11 players on that pitch. and he's the only one up there on his own with no one to pass to, no one to, set up and help run with him. Anyway, yeah. Anatovich, this whole shopping thing, with all due respect, Anton, he does that every game. You can see it. That's his little. He does his injury fake thing, and he does his throwing his hands down like a shot like that. He hasn't got the ball. That seems to be his own personal. Damn, I've got the ball. With the ball's gone, whatever. Because 10 seconds later, he's still running around and he'll celebrate and he'll shake everyone's hand. And he'll do whatever. As much as I love Anatovich, I was thinking about this today. We're in a relegation battle, and a lot of it is down to the fact that the players didn't give a shit at the start of the season when they had an absolute holiday camp under Bilic. Moyes comes in, and now they've started working hard, and now they've got a bit of fitness behind them and whatever. But I don't like footballers. I don't like the average modern footballer, especially a Premier League footballer. For me, they're far, far too pampered. They're paid a lot of money not to turn up each and every week, and I think they get away with a lot of stick. If they want to jump ship, there's a door. See you later. I'm very I've lost my whole kind of like, oh, please stay, please, because after Payet, I really don't care anymore. While you're here and you do your job and you pull your weight, I'll clap you and I'll cheer you and I'll love you. But if you get an offer and you want to go, I don't blame him work-wise for wanting to leave. But let's be honest, he was a lazy arsehole at the start of the season, and we were all saying it's a waste of money. Now he's the messiah because he's decided to turn up halfway through a season, which thank God he has, because we'd be down in God knows where, near West Brom's area since then. We're very lucky that Anatovich just turned up, obviously, because he's been the main man for so long now. But generally, the fans are going to be here, as we know, singing our praises, doing whatever. But let's be honest, lads, right? We stay up this season. Let's be hypothetical about this, right? We stay up this season, okay, with the same owners. Is anything going to get better anyway? Is he really going to turn around and go, okay, we've stayed up this season. Next season we'll go for Europe. No, we won't, because we'll still be signing shit half-assed players. We'll still be signing players that won't service him.
I think. Sorry, Luke, go on.
Yeah, no, please, stop me ranting, please.
I think it's what we've all said a few times over the last couple of months. This summer is going to determine where West Ham's going, because if the board don't properly invest, and you don't have to buy players, you can get good players on freeze. There's been talk about Fredericks and other players, like Wiltshire, and even I know you lot laughed at me in the transfer special. Even Fellaini's on a free, and I can even see him coming. If you get 3 or 4 decent Premiership footballers coming in for nothing, and then buy another 1 or 2 to be on top of the squad we've got, then that's ambition, and we might go forward. We might not get to Europe, but we certainly won't be languishing in the bottom half of the league. But I don't even think the owners will do that, I reckon if they fuck up yet again, third summer transfer window in a row, and they don't bring in players, next season, if we don't get relegated this season, next season we definitely will, because you've got the likes Sorry, mate, go on.
Sorry, I thought you finished. No, carry on, sorry.
Because we got the likes of Wolves coming up. They ain't going to go down straight away. We got Fulham possibly coming up, who play really good football. They may not go down straight away, and then we're going to be relying yet again on 3 teams that are more shit than us, and it won't happen next season. So if we, by the skin of our teeth, stay up this season, and the board doesn't invest properly, then next season will be the season we go down. And people like Arnie, why should he stay? That's why. So that's the point I was trying to make with Payet. Why, as much stick as Payet got, why should he have bothered staying? He didn't see the ambition. Arnie at the moment is trying hard, but if he sees there's no ambition, he's not going to want to hang around. He's going to probably start asking why the hell he bothered to leave Stoke. You know, and I think I said it earlier before we came online. If Arnie had been playing for Stoke this season, they would be above us, and like you said, Luke, we'll be in the bottom three. And it's only because of Arnie and his few goals here and there that we're still above the relegation zone.
I'm not having to go. I'm just a bit pissed off with this squad. I'm not having to go at Arnie. I love Arnie to bits, but what I'm saying is that it's like a bit like, well, you know, if he, like, from my opinion, if he wants to go, he can go. But I'm saying fundamentally that it's like it's.
But look, I'm sorry to interrupt you there, right? And, I kind of agree, kind of what you're saying, but you know, I'm 34 years old and I've not really seen West Ham win anything except for playoff finals. And it gets to a point in my life that I want to be able to see us win something. And forgetting what the board are saying, what I have realised is when we get top quality players of Payet's ability, of Arnautovic's ability, again, I'm going to keep reminding everyone, and I know we're saying this, we are West Ham United. We can't sign these top level players that we say we're going to sign because they don't have their attitude problems. We can only really draw in the attention top quality players, but only if they've got their attitude problems that no other manager can maintain. Yeah. And it's shit to hear that, but as West Ham fans, in order to see those players, we have to accept that kind of player. When we were slagging off Sturridge from Liverpool and he went to West Brom and he's injured, etc., etc., that's the level that we can get. We can get a top quality player, but he's injury prone. We can get a top quality player, but he's got an attitude issue.
Yeah, we need a top quality player who's flawed.
Yeah,
because we've got a history of it.
Yeah,
we've got a history of it going back to like Di Canio. You know, a top quality player who was flawed. I mean, it's surprising that Di Canio had as good a career at West Ham that he has, because he came with so much baggage that you could have seen the likes of Di Canio being sent off every other week. Yeah. You know, but we were lucky that he didn't. Payet comes in, you know, flawed. You know, Arnie like you said, Luke. Arnie started off the season, you know, got sent off, got injured, didn't seem to give a shit, blah blah blah. But he's turned it round. But how long's it going to be before he starts thinking, "Fuck this"? You know, I'm trying.
I do feel sorry for him. I do feel sorry for him.
And you think we're literally 1.5 seasons away from having a player of Arnautovic's ability connected with the Payet ability, with a player with the pedigree in front of goal of Hernandez, and bring in one other striker with Lanzini in that mix. And what have we actually got? We've got a top quality side, in my opinion, that could be doing things for our league.
Yeah,
but
totally.
It's the same old story. It's West, like Payet wants to, bang, we'll just let him go. Arnautovic's going to go or whatever. And it's just like a couple of players away from progressing to that next level. For me, it stems further up. I mean, I'm getting lost in all my pissed off rage that I'm about to feel right now.
It's what it's for. It's what it's what it's for. It's what it's for. This is why I'm getting off steam as well, because I just think it was totally pathetic. By the way, I just want to make a quick comment about this whole saying Leroy Sané earlier on and Sterling how they were, and they danced around us and all the others. There was a point coming towards the end of the first half where Arnautovic just went boom, and he just started hitting, going straight for Edison. Just forced him down, kept running after him, and after about the third time, their goalkeeper started shitting himself. And when he was trying to play the ball to Walker, it was hard or too far in front of him, and it was like you could tell that there was this like, oh shit, okay, we're getting pressured now. So they are great players. They are really, really good players. Obviously, they've won the league and all the rest of it. But we allowed them to be at their best of their ability. And if we closed them down, like Arnautovic does, which is again why I feel sorry for him. I do agree with that. I'm not disputing that fact at all. But we missed a massive trick there. And I think that, luckily, Arnautovic is at that level. And if we lose him, then we lose him. But like you say, Anne, it's a pyramid kind of, it's like an icicle. It just drops down from the top. And unfortunately, we're in that predicament where it's all just shit.
Tell you what, it's not acceptable for the board to come over and take over our club and promise what they have promised. Going on a rant here, but fuck it. To promise what they've promised, to take away our home, to give us Olympic Stadium. Now, I've moved on from that, but you need to give us the home that we want. You need to make it feel comfortable. You need to give us the players on the park, the fight, the determination, the passion, the money. Put your money where your mouth is. Still, you said something about this summer. This is a big summer for the board. For me, I was lost 3 transfer windows ago, and even if they invest in this summer, it's going to take for me to even remotely change my opinion on this board, well over £150 million. And I
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. If they do right by the fans this summer and bring in some decent players, that doesn't make them overnight a good board, because they have dabbled and danced around relegation and being fucking miserly and cheap and all that sort of stuff for far too long. So don't misunderstand me. I'm not for a minute suggesting that if they actually bring in some decent players, all of a sudden everything is better, because it's not. What the board have done is they brought in a Payet and isolated him. They brought in another player and isolated him. They brought in another player. Instead of thinking long term and going, let's have all of these players at once. The irony, we were saying it a minute ago, we actually have, I know it's going to sound really stupid, but we're short of a couple of decent players, probably in defence and midfield, to have a fucking really good team. Think about it. Lanzini, Arnautovic, Hernandez. We've got some pretty decent players. All the board have to do is bring in some decent defenders and a couple of decent midfielders, and we would actually be a force to be reckoned with. That's the irony of it all. It's not as if, we've got a lot of players that haven't performed this season. That's a fact. We've got the likes of Kayati hasn't performed. Reed has been in and out. Antonio hasn't performed. Creswell hasn't performed. But on their day, these players are actually half decent players. So it now comes to, is it just the players, or is it the way they're being managed? And first of all, it was like you picked up earlier, Luke. It was a fucking shit show when Bilic was there. It was like a bloody holiday camp. And now Moyes, I actually, I think we touched on it again earlier. I think the players aren't playing for him. They don't seem to respect his tactics. They're certainly not executing it, because if he's bringing out a team that's meant to be defensively minded, we're conceding fucking far too many goals.
Actually,
so how can they?
Do you know what? I actually do think I think they did follow his instructions today, because I think his instructions were to literally just hover around them, don't put any tackles in, don't give away any free kicks, and just because you could tell literally the way they were. It wasn't as if they weren't going in for tackles and Moyes was going, "What are you doing? I told you not to do that." It was literally like they were watching him. They were watching the opposition. They were watching Man City. It was almost as if it was like kids watching men play football. Like they were admiring the football, going, "Okay, there's so many more times you can play it around us." I genuinely think they were actually following the instructions to a T, but A, getting frustrated by it, and B, they were the wrong tactics. And I tell you what, this is the thing. I expected this. I expected to lose 4-1. I expected them to play really good football. I expected us to be not at their level. I expected them to kind of not get out of second gear. But actually watching it in reality is fucking painful.
I think the worst bit out of it all, I think I put it in one of my in a post on Facebook, is look, I don't think any of us expected anything from today, but a little bit of passion wouldn't have gone amiss, and we were passionless.
Yeah.
It
was like a pre-season game. It was literally like.
Still, I said to you just before we came on here that in all my years of supporting West Ham, I've always been an optimist of a fan. I've always thought we were going to win. I would always put our money on West Ham to win, even though when it's blatantly obvious we're not. There's been twice in my modern life that I've actually lost my enthusiasm as a West Ham fan. Once under Avram Grant and once right now. And both of those appointments and both of those situations have fallen under our current owners, him. And it's just a full-blown embarrassment. My optimism is gone because I don't believe we can pick up points. we actually have been ranting about since 2-1. We haven't even got on to 3 and 4. So I'm going to
I've realised that, yeah.
I'm just going to quickly fast forward and say 2 other goals were scored by Manchester City where they just slightly walked through our defence and put some goals in because we collapsed fucking worse than a Jenga game. And then let's come to the end of the game and let's look at the Premier League. I said to you, Stel, again before we came on, we've played 35 games. We've got 3 games to go. And right now, it is about, getting victories, getting points on the board. I'm being honest, and I'm not being exaggerating. I can't see us getting another point this season. Honestly, and I'm being brutally honest. Now, Stel, you had mentioned that we might be in a lucky situation because Southampton have to play Swansea, etc. But when I'm looking at this league, right, people really are writing off Stoke City. Yeah, they have a couple of big games coming up. But let's just say, for talking's sake, they do win their last 2 games. We lose our last 3. They're 1 ahead of us. If Southampton have a little bit of fight and get 3 or 4 points, they've got better goal difference than us. So 1 more win for them takes them above us, and it just leaves Huddersfield. It's really fucking tight.
I mean, no one expected Stoke to get anything out of Liverpool yesterday.
Yeah,
and they did. And I think that put pressure on us. I think what did us a favour yesterday was Huddersfield losing at home, because I think they were putting their eggs in that particular basket. I think we were putting our eggs in the home game basket, and we're coming up short. I'm going to stick my neck out. I'm still going to say I agree with you. I'm not sure we'll get another point this season, but ironically, I still think it might be enough for us to stay up. How weird is that?
I know.
We could stay up on 35 points. We could stay up on 35 points. And that is so unheard of. But yeah, stranger things have happened, haven't they? Stoke could win their last 2 games. Who's to say Southampton? Yesterday, Southampton, Bournemouth, I had that down for a draw, and Southampton won that. I think our saving grace is that is it Huddersfield have got a worse running than we have, and it's going to be things like that. We're going to stay up because there are going to be 3 teams that are more shit than us. It's not because we're going to save ourselves, and that's why I said earlier about this summer being important, because we papered over the cracks last season because we finished wherever 11th or whatever the hell we did, which we didn't even deserve, And this season we're going to scrape through, and next season will be the season that we will definitely go down if the board don't pull their fingers out, But I hope I'm not wrong. I hope you're not wrong. Yeah, because I'm going to Leicester next weekend, and it's going to be a party because it's the last away game. But if we don't, I'd like to think we can come away with a point. But Leicester got spanked yesterday. They're going to be pissed off, so they're not going to roll over. And then we got Man U, and then we got Big Fat Fucking Sam for the last game of the season.
Oh, God.
And we've said it before. Wouldn't he like to fucking take us down? Sorry, I'm ranting now as well.
It's fine. No, it's understandable, and it's just a frustrating time. It's been a frustrating time for a long time. I suppose we are coming to the end of the review, but Luke, have you got anything to kind of finally add in? See, before you do, just to give you maybe a little bit of a pointer, I said in our preview that in the history of the Premier League, there's always a couple of teams that fight relegation. What makes this season different? This is why I'm feeling some form of I'm just worried moving forward. It's West Ham in the next 3 games, because we're not going to just this last 3 games is not going to go normal. I just can't see it going normal, and if it does, it will be the first in the Premier League history. That's where my concern lies. I'll give you and Luke and Stel final words. So over to you, Luke.
Did you make that point before, after, or in between? You fucked up with the recording for the preview. Sorry, I had to give a little dig there. I'm sorry.
For any of you fans watching, you can appreciate that this shit's live. We don't get paid for it. We're putting all the efforts in for you, so I apologise, but I've moved on.
No, I shouldn't have been a big dig.
That's fine, mate. I don't take it to heart.
Look, we've been here before. We were West Ham. Have never been successful We've always been a team that struggles, and there's one thing for damn sure: we never do things the easy way. We like to make it hard for ourselves. This is part of the kind of. If I'm honest, if I'm really honest, as much as we're all moaning, this is what all we've known as West Ham. We've never done things perfectly. Nothing's ever gone right for us. We've never had every player playing to their best, all the players to their best ability. You know, we would love to literally just go out and just see our players make the tackles, show the passion, do all sorts of stuff like that. But this is same old territory for West Ham. It's rely on other teams. It's our players not performing. It's the manager making the wrong tactics. It's players being. This is kind of the love of West Ham because we're so pathetic, but we still love them. It's like kind of like the dog that just doesn't die, but he can't even fucking crap on the carpet properly anymore. But because it's a family dog, you just let it do its own thing. The funny thing that I've realised since we've moved to the new stadium. I've never really sort of got it from when we were at the old stadium. Is that team's crap? We should beat them. I actually remember us losing 3-0 to Brighton at home earlier on in the season. It was kind of like, that's only Brighton. You know, we should beat. As fans, we were allowed to have that opinion, but it seemed to be that the players had that opinion as well. And we didn't get a second gear, and we got our asses handed to us. And currently, Brighton are above us in the league. Those teams around us, like you said, Anton, Stoke and Southampton, they probably should be down and out, but they're not. And we only faced Stoke a few weeks back. We beat Southampton 3-0, but we drew against Stoke in the game we should have won. And it's squeaky bum time when it shouldn't be. West Brom from out of the grave are trying to drag themselves out, and they've got a few fingers on top of them on the soil, but I don't think they're going to be getting much more than that. And in fact, I actually think their manager now, Darren Moore, is showing more tactical nous than David Moyes has done since he's been at our club as well. So, you know, they're getting a bit of luck on their side as well. I will just make a point about Adrian. I still love the guy. I will always love the guy. And I think it's down to Moore's passion. I'm sorry, I don't care about anyone. I love a passionate player. I love a player who will run his, self into the ground for the cause. And I think this whole running out, trying to close down the strikers of Man City today was because I don't think he trusted his defence. You've got Evra playing centre back. Do you think he's going to be able to try and keep up with Sterling when he's going through 1-on-1? He tried to make things happen. And there was one point in the second half when he just lost it. He had the ball in his hands and he could have kicked it out to Masuak on the left-hand side. But he looked around him and he saw that all our players were in our own half and just stood there looking at him, gawping, going, "We would do something with it there." And he was like, "No, out, come on." Just like, how defensive do we want to be? Do we all want to be in the area? No, it was a complete shit show today, but I am used to it. But it still pisses me off, and it pisses me off when I don't see any passion from players. It pisses me off when I see a failed manager on the sideline with a passionate guy in Stuart Pearce behind him, probably tearing his hair out of what's left of it. You've got players on the bench who don't even know what the fuck's going on.
You've got fans on the sidelines don't know what the fuck's going on.
Do you know? Honestly, do you know what it was? Right, my dad's for the first time done a still, and he bought some popcorn. And do you know what? We're all sitting around here. We're all mates where I sit. We're all season ticket holders, and we took the piss out of him. And I just went, "Are you genuinely finding something entertaining about this game that you're going to eat popcorn?" I mean, I know the Avengers film has just come out. Maybe that's a bit more entertaining, but this is West Ham, and I don't love this, but I'm used to it. And let's go and beat Leicester because I can't go on anymore. I'm done.
What a rant that was, by the way. Listen, before we go over to Still, how ironic is it that Zabaleta has been given the award for the own goal, which was Manchester City's centenary goal of this season?
He scored for them, didn't he?
He scored for them. Maybe it was a gift to them, But Still, last words from you, and I'll just give a quick run up on the channel.
Let's see. What can I say? You said earlier that twice in your life you've been disillusioned about West Ham. It's 3 times for me. Glenn Roeder.
Do you know what? Still, I forgot. So I'm joining you. Hat trick, Glenn Roeder. Yeah, totally forgot.
Glenn Roeder, Avram Grant, and now. And I think Moyes. I want to talk about Moyes very quickly. Because my mind about him has gone up and down like a fucking yo-yo. when he was picked to be West Ham manager, I was like, what the fuck are we doing? When he started showing that a bit of determination and changing the team around, I thought that's a fucking bold move. Well done, the board. You've done the right thing. We're going in. We've lost a few games. We've won a few games. I thought, yeah, it's all right. It's all a bit of swings and roundabouts. The changing point for me, and I said it to you guys before, I might have ranted about it in another review as well, was the Stoke game. When he brought out a team against Stoke that was defensively minded at home against a second from bottom team that hadn't won for something like 2 months, that was it for me. I thought, what the fuck are you doing? You know, it's quite unbelievable. This is the game that we should be winning, and winning comfortably rather than scraping a draw. And now I really don't want Moyes to stay. Now, I don't know what rumours are true or what not are true. I hope they're not true that he's staying on. I really, really want to see him gone. I want to see 1 or 2 players gone and a total revamp. But unfortunately, I can't see it happening. I don't think the board are going to do it. They're going to go for the cheap option. They're not bringing in a director of football or head of recruitment or whatever the hell. They seem to have made their minds up about that because they think Moyes is the man. Now, I would like to see a Moyes team and see how they perform. But the board aren't going to give him enough money to make that a whole new Moyes team. You know, so I'm tired of Moyes. You know, I've caught up with all the other fans who are thinking the same thing, who have been saying the same thing for some time now. You know, I don't mind being defensively minded, but being defensively minded means you've got to defend and not let in 3, 4, 5 goals every time we go out on the pitch. You know, it's 2 weekends in a row now that we've let in 4 goals. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. And I'm still going to stick my neck out. We probably won't get another point this season, but I still think we'll scrape it. But yep. How sad is that? How sad is that we, you know, we're relying on other teams to keep us in the Premiership
and surviving 35 points? How sad.
Yeah. Totally.
How West Ham.
Yeah.
How West Ham is that?
Listen, guys, thanks for coming on. If you have enjoyed, make sure you put the thumbs up. Although, if you don't do the thumbs up, it's not the end of the world because you probably haven't enjoyed because we're West Ham fans. The point being is, make sure you subscribe to our channel. If you want to come on, let us know. We'll get you on the show. This is all about you having your voice. Facebook page, group, get involved. And you can get your point across, anything to do with West Ham. It's been a crap weekend, but how many more crap weekends can we take as West Ham fans? It's just getting worse and worse. But let's just be positive somehow and try and bring that enthusiasm and optimism back into our love of our club. Before we go, we have an interesting show coming up on Tuesday. I'm not going to give you the update on it just now, but we're just going to get final confirmation, and once we've got the confirmation through, we will put some posts out all over social media. What I'll say to you is, I think it's one you probably want to watch. It's going to be a really, really interesting live stream we've got coming out. It will involve myself and Stel and a few other people, but we'll keep that under wraps until we've got it confirmed. Make sure you keep an eye on our channel for Tuesday, and then we'll have some more stuff coming up on the lead up to Leicester game. So yeah, West Ham, head up, go watch match of the day, and yeah, have a good night's sleep, and don't let your workies slag you off. Anyway, he's been Stel, he's been Luke, I've been Anton. Come on, your hands.
No one's been Tango yet either.